So if in regard to chasing coaches and like tracking them down when you go to congresses, like so obviously you have your own solos and you have your partnered routines. So like Sammy, if you need a female instructor or coach's input, who would you seek out to help with your solo?
Obviously, depending on where I am, if unless I'm doing classes at a distance, but it's usually better for us to have that one-on-one time with our coaches. So,
Mm,
depending on who's there with us at certain events, we'll try and make the most of that time. But for me, I'll usually obviously get the input of some of the judges, so people like Anya,
mm,
Tamara, obviously because they have that experience and the knowledge, and they're the ones who we're trying to impress, right? And
mhm.
trying to get that approval, so to say, when it comes to competition. So we'll train with people like that as much as we can, and whenever we get the opportunity to do so.
Mm. And Adriano, who would you seek out for advice on your solos?
Samantha, I'm serious.
Yeah, I believe you. I'm sure that you guys
I'm
help with
really
each other. Like
serious.
Samantha, are you
I
super
got
critical of his solos?
inspired. Sorry.
Is Samantha super critical? She's like, nah, change it.
No,
Or is
she's
she
not
really
critical.
supportive?
She really just helps me get to. Sometimes I have ideas and stuff, and she just helps me sort it out, and she helps me stay focused and on track, and that kind of
Mm,
helps me get to my end goal. I feel like that she's helped me a lot, a hundred
But I
percent.
mean, I feel like that goes both ways for us. We choreograph
mm,
everything together. So whether
Mm.
it be a team routine or a solo, men or women, it doesn't matter.
mm.
We'll usually ask for each other's input and work on things together. For us, it just works better that way.
I enjoy her presence while I choreograph. I'll say that.
That's really sweet. I think maybe a lot of couples aren't as comfortable with each other in that setting, like because obviously like you guys teach together, you have a business together, you are together, and then the training and the rehearsing and the traveling is all together as well. You guys are literally
Yep.
together
Yeah,
the
it's a
whole
lot.
It's
time.
pretty much.
It's a lot. Anyone who dances understands how much that is.
Yeah, and it's a
Yeah,
process.
definitely.
It's a process. This has been over 10 years for now. So for us now, so
Mm.
it's we definitely have our moments. It's not always easy, but at the end of the day, I think we're super lucky to have each other and to have found each other at a young age, and to
Mm.
go after all of these dreams of ours together and build something for ourselves, really from the ground up. And I think we're lucky to have each other in that sense.
Absolutely. And plus, like, I can't imagine your disagreements being that awful because Canadians are like the sweetest people in the world. Like, I
Well,
could
we've
bump
got
into you and you would go, "Oh, I'm so sorry, excuse me." Like, that's how sweet Canadians are.
Yeah,
but
that's
we
true.
have that Italian blood in us too.
I was
So
just gonna say that.
sometimes it can
That
get heated.
Italian blood, I don't know. Sometimes.
Yeah, I feel you. Okay. So what about male influences, Adriano, for your solos? Because obviously, like you've done professional solo 3 times at Summit consecutively, and you've won each time, which is incredible. And that's not like a walk in the park at all. That's one of the most competitive divisions
Mhm.
that the Summit has. So, who were the most influential people for you building that momentum?
Um. Okay. Well, as for inspirations, I have so many, so many. Rodrigo, Adolfo, Tito. Like there's so many amazing men that I look up to, and I respect
Mm,
so much. And they definitely inspire me, all individually in a certain way, just because I admire their style. But at the same time, your job as a competitor is to try to be your own, right? So
mm,
I don't try to base myself on what they do. Like I've had I got to spend a lot of time right before we started winning our championships with Rodrigo, and that was such a big help. And lately, let's say the few times that I got to train with Adolfo, I didn't get to train that much with him.
mm,
But the times that I did, I really tried to take as much advantage of it as possible. Even in Australia, let's say Adolfo was there and he was teaching his masterclass, I'll show up and
mm,
just take the class because I want to see what he's doing because I really like it. So it
mm,
depends. Like everybody's like there's so many other dancers as well, like Franklin Diaz and Frankie Martinez. We have really, really, really good male dancers in the salsa community. Not that we don't have female, but for myself to look up to, I'm saying. But yeah, what was the question again? Now I feel like I drifted off.
Who do you seek out for your competition, like mentorship or coach, like the coach stuff?
Honestly,
Like,
I don't get a lot of coaching on my solo stuff. I usually do it a lot myself. I've had Anya look at my stuff, Tito and Tamara as well, but like they've helped me a lot on when I wasn't like my mental state as well, like making sure that I was producing the right energy at the right time, and like making that expression come out that maybe wasn't there at a point, right? And working those type of things, those fundamentals that make such a big difference on the outcome of your routine. But yeah, I've to get coaching. I haven't gotten that much coaching on my solos. I can honestly say that because I just didn't take as much time to it, because we would focus a lot more, let's say, about on our partnership, and our solos were always kind of secondary. It was like, we're going to compete, but okay, we'll do a solo because we're there and might as well do it and get the most out of it and try and push ourselves as much as possible. But if not, our main goal was to dance together and to keep partnering, right? And
at the same time, I feel like when we're getting coaching, even if it's on a partner work routine, you know, what you end up getting out of those sessions is so much more than, you know, just a correction of a couple of steps or maybe a turn pattern that's a little different. It's really, it goes so much deeper than that, you know. Like he was saying before, about either the mental state or how you're actually preparing, or how we're connecting as partners, if we're on the same page, if you know, if all of those other things are really in check. And it doesn't always come down to the dancing. Sometimes you get other help that maybe you weren't necessarily seeking, but that you really needed. And so for us, we try and bring that knowledge or those skills that we acquired during our training into all of our
and I feel like
projects.
when you're really dedicated to your dancing, the people and the coaching you need just come, because you're setting it out there, right? And you have an objective, you have a goal, and then these people start surrounding you because you've chosen this for yourself, and just I feel like things align itself at that point. And it really, I think it stems to your own dedication towards it, right? And I've seen this with amateurs as well. Like the growth that you see with some people because they've taken that decision and chosen to really get better at this and focus so much energy into it, and you see what a difference it makes, and they get surrounded by the right people to bring them to that next level too, right? So it happens for us the same way. But yeah, that's what I think.
There's a good question there by someone who was viewing. I think it's Christian. He's asking, what are your thoughts and opinions on people seeking advice on their competition routines from judges before they compete?
I think
at
that's
a competition.
Maybe not during the event. I know that once an event starts, or mainly once a competition starts, you shouldn't really be bothering the judges in that sense, because they do have a job to do and they're not supposed to kind of help during those events or during a competition. But anytime before that, there's never a limit as to how much we can learn. So go out there and get all of the training that you can from as many people who inspire you, as long as there's something about that person or that coach.
It doesn't have to be a judge.
It doesn't have to be a judge necessarily. You know, there's only 20 dancers on that panel at most. There's many more professionals out there and people that have so much to offer, right? So I think our advice would be
I definitely don't think there's anything wrong with going to get coaching with judges, because I think that ultimately,
I think that's
necessary. If they're judging, they understand the judging criteria, and sometimes that could be subjective to a dancer who's not in competition. It doesn't mean that they don't have the knowledge to judge, but having the experience is something else, right? So I think that it's important to go and seek help from as many people as possible. Yes, the reason why we choose to go to the judges is because you want to know what you need for competition if you're a competitive couple, right? If I was a showcasing couple, then maybe I wouldn't. But I still respect those people on a dance level where I just want to take classes with them, right? I genuinely want to take a class with them. So I feel like you shouldn't stop yourself because of a label of them being a judge or not beforehand. If you want to train with them a week before or a month before, it's what matters is the day of. You got to show up and you got to get in your dance shoes and you got to burn the floor. You know what I mean? No one's going to do that for you, right? So I think that being open to the help is the most important part, because I've seen so many dancers internationally, and the more you travel, you see how some people are skeptical about training and that really have so much talent and would be able to do a lot more with their dancing. But I feel like I saw my biggest growth was when I was learning, right? And so many great instructors say it all the time. The day you stop learning is the day you stagnate and you will never continue to grow, right? Why is Fernando Sosa still as crazy as he was when he was 20 years old, and if not crazier now? Like, why? Because he just doesn't stop, right? And I think that work ethic shows no matter how old you are, no matter where you are in the world,
or your background,
nothing matters at that point. It's just your dedication to it and how hungry you are to succeed and to get better, and all of that is what I think is really important.
It's absolutely true about Fernando. Like, I lived in Italy for off and on for the last few years, and I was like training at Sosa Academy, and he's insane. He's like 44 or 45 now, and there's a park next to his studio with gym equipment in it, and you'd be on your way to the studio sometimes or walking past for coffee, and Fernando's in the park doing like pull-ups and dips and like push-ups and like. And you know, you're only just getting out of bed and going for coffee, and this guy's already up, driven to the studio, training before he has like training sessions with his team. Like, he's super inspiring from the way he balances his work life and his family life and his personal life, and also he's still at the top of his game. Still, like,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why I use him
really,
as an
really
example.
impressive.
It's a total
Very good example.
Personally, I find dancing slow much harder than dancing fast, right? Because you need to be so much more
you need to fill all
control.
that time.
Right, and be so much more in control of your movement, which is often where the hard work is. We can mask some of that movement with speed, right? You can get away with certain things.
Or you can move really fast.
Or you can
never forget that option.
That's the option we try to.
That's the option I try to sell. Okay.